Color theory is the art and the science of how colors interact, combining the visual, the psychological, and the mathematical principles to create stunning visuals and vibrant aspects when you look at it with your own eyes. But that's not actually the color theory I want to talk about today. Color theory takes on a whole new life and perspective though when you apply it to TV, film, and media in general. It still maintains its core principles, but actually takes on a new light in terms of invoking emotion in characters, implying how a character acts and behaves based on those colors, implying how a world lives based on its colors. It is truly a mesmerizing and fantastic case study, and it's one that I perfectly love and deem to be perfect. But color theory can also apply perfectly when it does come to Ninjago. So what I want to do today is go through the concept of color theory, apply it to the ninja team themselves, and talk about how LEGO has perfectly portrayed these characters through the use of color. Because when you look at it in this light, you have a whole new appreciation for the color of the ninja gi. So let me not waste any more of your time, and let's talk about Ninjago color theory. Now, like I said, color theory within media does take on the basic principles of color theory as a general concept. But the thing is that it's not just an aesthetic decision when it does come to media. It is storytelling decisions. It tells you who a character is, what the world feels like, and where the emotion of a scene is truly heading. Ninjago is really good at this, and all of the ninja fall perfectly under the bracket of their own respective color. So let's get into them. Let's start off with the color of red. Red in color theory is the representation of anger, passion, rage, desire, excitement, energy, speed, strength, power, heat, love, anger, danger, fire, war, and violence. Now, all of these can be applied perfectly to our own red ninja. Kai, for example. Kai has a lot of anger. He's a very hot-headed ninja. He had desire. He wanted to be the green ninja. He wanted to be the best ninja. Speed. Well, that kind of goes without saying he's a ninja. Strength and power and love. The way he feels for the people around him is palpable. He does not let go when it does come to his own family, and he will defend them till his very last breath. Aggression, again going back to that hot-head aspect, and obviously above all else, fire. His own elemental power, his own elemental abilities is the exact representation of the color of red. And again, these principles completely reapply to Wildfire. Wildfire is so alike to Kai, so again adopts all of these aspects as well. Anger, passion, rage, desire, excitement, energy, speed, strength, power, all of it. And again, her own elemental ability. Heat, like I said, is also a representation of the color of red. I love the fact that both of them fall perfectly in this bracket, so red is the perfect representation of these two respective ninja. It's just perfectly fitting, and I love it so much. The next color that we are going to talk about is going to be blue. Blue is the representation of faith, spirituality, contentment, loyalty, fulfillment, peace, tranquility, calm, stability, harmony, unity, trust, truth, confidence, security, cleanliness, order, water, technology, and also cold. Now, this applies perfectly to both of our blue ninja, being Jay and Nia. Now, for one, they both fall under the same color, which also has the definition of loyalty. Both of them being each other's yang, it is no better way of showing it off. Jay specifically, though, you can attain all of these words, or at least most of them, to him. Loyalty, peace, calm, stability, trust, truth, and confidence. All of these I do believe does describe Jay. Now, it doesn't fall in perfectly, but I do think it does still apply to the color theory. And Nia also does fall into this very nicely. Again, contentment. She understands her place in this world. Loyalty, loyal to the ninja and Jay. Peace, tranquility, stability, trust, truth, confidence. All of these things. And of course, most importantly, water. Water is again her elemental ability, so it being a representation of her own ninja color is perfect. And of course Nia has had other colors over the time of the show, like red, and even then you could apply a lot of those aspects of red to Nia. Passion, anger, aggression, love, power, strength, all of those still do apply to Nia. So in both terms of representation of color theory, she is again another perfect candidate. The next colors that we are going to talk about are going to start being in multiples because it does apply to one specific ninja having multiple colors. So let's talk about Cole. Cole's representation has always been black, brown, and also orange, and all of them fall in perfectly when it does come to Cole. Black represents power, sophistication, formality, elegance, mystery, anonymity, depth, style, and remorse and anger. Brown represents earth, home, outdoors, reliability, comfort, and endurance. And then lastly is orange, which represents humor, balance, warmth, enthusiasm, and also vibrant. All of these completely apply to Cole. The black is a perfect way to represent that more in-depth style of him, that more aggressive style that we know of him, and also the fact that we didn't know a lot about him until later seasons. Brown, again, is the representation of Earth, so another perfect one to apply to him in particular. And then orange, having that warmth and that enthusiasm and that humor and balance is again something that does perfectly apply to him. He is funny by all accounts, but his warmth is one of the biggest things. He is the rock and the soul of the ninja team for a reason. So all of the colors are fantastic for Cole. The next colors are going to be white and silver, the representation of Zane as a whole. White is the representation of protection, love, purity, simplicity, cleanliness, peace, precision, innocence, and also snow and cold. And silver, the main representation of it, is going to be distinguished and high tech. This again is a perfect application when it does come to Zane. Protection, for example, with white. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Love and purity. His love for the ninja goes so far as he was willing to sacrifice his own life for the good of them. Snow and cold is a good representation of ice as a whole. Humility. He's always been quite humble in himself and very true to himself. And then silver goes without saying. Distinguished. Zane is very formal and presented. He's never really that off the cuff. He's never really that informal. He's always to a point. And high tech. He's a ninjroid. He is not human. He is something more. He is something much more exciting and much more beautiful than just a human. And again, high tech is the perfect representation of that. Zane again going to show that being the titanium ninja and still adopting the colors of white is a perfect way to demonstrate who he truly is. The last of the original ninja then is going to be Lloyd, represented by the color of green. Green is the representation of healing, perseverance, self-awareness, proud, unchanging nature, environment, luck, renewal, youth, vigor, generosity, and just experience. Green is a perfect way of demonstrating Lloyd. Healing, for example. He now, as of Dragon's Rising Season 4, is connecting to everyone and everything around him to actually connect within life itself. The self-awareness and his proud and unchanging nature. Even in the face of circumstances where changing into something like the Oni form would just be so much easier for him, he still chooses not to. He still does his best and remains true to himself no matter what. There is so much about green that is perfect when it does come to Lloyd, and the one thing I did mention in particular is youth. Lloyd is the youngest member of the original ninja team. He is, by all accounts, very young for his age and originally was just a child until the Tomorrow's Tea. So again, green is a fantastic way of showing off who Lloyd truly is, and is again a perfect representation of what he stands for. But we do still have two more ninja to cover, starting with Sora, representation being white, which we've already discussed, and also pink. The pink is an introduction into what we know about white. Pink is the representation of love, innocence, health, being content, being soft, and being delicate with everything around them. And adding on the aspects of what white is, I do think it still makes perfect sense. Combining the aspects of protection, purity, simplicity, cleanliness, peace, and humility with these aspects of innocence and love, you definitely do get Sora. She is very protective of Aaron, going away from the ninja just purely to be there for him, having this innocence about her. She's never wanted to do anything evil. She's only ever wanted to invent technology just basically because she enjoyed it, even though it was later taken advantage of by other people. So again, pink and white is a fantastic representation of what Sora truly is, and probably is one of the most fitting of the bunch. I will say, before I do go into Aaron, there are so many Ninjago characters that color theory does apply to. The main one that I am thinking is Dareth, because brown is also a representation of materialistic ideas, which is by all accounts Dareth with his fake trophies. So yeah, just know that color theory is so expansive and does go into every single aspect that we do know about Ninjago. Again, for example, purple. Purple is a representation of cruelty and arrogance, something that Garmadon represents. So yeah, it truly is expansive, and it's honestly something that I could continue doing videos on. But last, like I said, is going to be Aaron. Orange is the representation of humor, energy, balance, warmth, enthusiasm, and vibrancy, something that Aaron does embody. He is very enthusiastic about the ninja, he is very much a humorous character, he has a lot of energy, he does rely a lot on balance because he has been on both sides of the balance, and he is just generally something that you can apply all of these aspects to. You could sprinkle in a little bit of blue because he does have dark blue in some of his outfits, and also black in some outfits as well, and of course those do represent other aspects that do apply to Aaron. For example, black can be a representation of evil, which is the color he used when he was on the side of Raz. But blue, for example, is something that you could represent as stability, unity, and trust, a color that he adopts when he officially believes the ninja once more. So again, Aaron is perfectly applying to the colors that he does have in Ninjago, again fully showing how well color theory is applied to the ninja. So I do think on an overall, Ninjago color theory is a fantastic and basically perfect representation of our beloved ninja team. I love the fact that all of these characters do apply to the colors that they bear, and they honestly perfectly embody what they do represent. I think this isn't a coincidence, and I definitely do praise the Ninjago writers for keeping this attention to detail. And like I said, you could apply this to so many more, and honestly, I want to apply it to many more. So if you guys did enjoy this video, let me know if you want me to follow this up with more characters, because I would love to see it, and I would just like to know if you would like to as well. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people, and if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of your support means the absolute world to me, and I truly cannot thank you enough. But like I said, that's about it for today, and take care. Okay,